disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome once again to another episode of Fits, Kicks, and Flicks, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, one of my podcast partners, Joe Hartley. What's up, man?
What's going on?
If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Center Network. On Tuesdays, you got the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. Wednesdays, you got the Traditional Way with Brett Shumway, and then once a month, we have the Extra Scoop with Peyton and Jeff. Thursdays is us, Fifth Kicks and Flicks with Gene, Joe, and Angel. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Center Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Joe, it's showtime. What's happening, man?
Not much, man. Kids are back to school today, so it's Monday when we're recording this. Mom's still in Italy, so I've been, I FaceTime and talk to her. The 5-hour difference gets me because if I'm at work, I'll text her, but I like to FaceTime her. But by the time I get home, it's 8 o'clock where she's at.
8 o'clock at night or morning?
8 o'clock at night.
Okay, I'm thrown off by the time.
5 hour ahead.
Okay, got you.
So when I get home at 3, it's 8 o'clock for her p.m.
Okay.
And she's been going to bed around 9 or 10. So if I can't FaceTime, the other day she FaceTimed me around 10 o'clock for her. So it was like 5:05 for me. So I talked to her for a few. She's having fun.
That's
good. She's getting into a lot of stuff. They've done a couple of cooking classes. They've gone on some excursions through a volcano. She experienced the nightlife in one of the areas, and so she's having a good time.
Museum?
She'll be back on week. Yep, they went to the museum, saw the statue of David.
Okay.
So, made some cheese, I guess, the other day. I didn't get the pictures from that yet. I was going to talk to her today, but I got a hold of her too late. So I'll talk to her tomorrow about that because I'm off tomorrow. So
how far is she from the Vatican?
Good question. I don't know. There's been a lot of pictures of churches, and some of the places they've been staying too have been really, really gorgeous. So,
she's not staying in the same hotel. It's different.
So the two my aunts that she went with, like the one, my Aunt Margaret, she travels a lot, and then the other one, this is her third time to Italy. So like they know they want to go all over. So they're in Tuscany for 2 days. They're in Florence for 2 days. So yeah, she's been on the go a little bit here and there because wherever they were on Wednesday, they took a plane to the new spot Thursday. So, and I think she's done in Florence. I think she stays in Florence for another couple of days and then goes to the last spot. And then my Aunt Margaret took a couple of days somewhere else. And then she is going to join them for the last couple of days. And then she's going to Prague for a 5K run.
Okay.
Because that's her jam.
When did you say she was coming back?
It's Saturday or Sunday.
Okay. Oh, yeah. She got a few days ago.
Yep. So it was a 2-week trip. And
if you're going over there, you gotta stay there more. You can't just do it like I'm going to go over there for 5 days or nothing like that. Like you gotta be away for a while, and I mean, I'm assuming you have to have money, because you're gonna be gone for a while.
Yeah, they took some cash. They got their credit cards. Probably some. I don't think travelers checks are a thing anymore, but
I wouldn't think so. But you never know.
She wasn't converted some money over to their money to have that in cash, and then the rest she's just been credit card. So
yeah,
it looks fun.
When I've been to Canada, man, I've been to some places and my debit card did not work in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And I,
What's that
you know,
about?
I guess I'm assuming that's not the same with um credit cards, but yeah, my debit card did not work in a couple of places.
Now, was it your bank? Because your bank's saying, well, this is a different charge. Because,
I have no idea. I didn't investigate it. I went back and told Melissa because she was with me. I was like, "Hey, my card's not working," and then she would have her card, so I use this one. So
gotcha.
it is what it is. So I never really investigated, but it doesn't happen at all places. It was just a handful of places that has happened that I have no idea why it's like that.
Probably something weird.
Yeah.
Other than that, the kids are getting back into things. Ava with forensics, Layla with band, and then Aiden is he's doing another play. So they had
Okay.
just announced the play last week. He auditioned. He got the part he wanted. So this play, it's causing a little controversy because it's called Princess Gray and the Black and White Knight.
Yeah, you talked about that.
And some people are like, why does it have to be the Black and White Knight? Because they're looking at it from a political standpoint. And I said,
Oh my
I
god.
think it's an older play. There's kids that decided not to join because of the name of the play.
Because of the name.
That's what I said, but the story to me gives off more of like a Romeo and Juliet almost type of thing. Or, it's just when this play was probably written, I think that, they weren't thinking that way. It was, Princess Gray, and then the Black Knight is like the bad boy, and the White Knight is like the goody two shoe.
So
That's the
it's
way
pretty.
I read it in the script.
I mean, before you even said that, I just assumed it was something like Twilight.
Yeah, I mean, probably something similar to that. But some people are trying to make it more than it's out to be. So I don't know. I mean, we were having a discussion at dinner at my father-in-law's yesterday about it. And somebody was like, why couldn't they just make it the green and red night? And I kept my mouth shut because I was like,
But it's
okay,
a
so now we're going
play
Christmas?
on words though.
Yes.
It's black, white, and gray. Like put black and white together, got gray. I mean, it's just a play on words.
Well, from an art teacher standpoint, those aren't even colors, those are shades.
Okay.
Listen, man, I've been with an art teacher now for over 25 years, okay? I
Yeah.
learned these things. But
Yeah.
it, it presented this opportunity because my son's got a big part. I mean, I
Hmm.
think he's third or fourth on stage, and he's not the actor in the family. So he's super excited, and it's a perfect part for him. He's playing the prankster, and the prankster is the role says a sarcastic person messing with everyone on stage. So
Okay.
he gets to mess with all the other actors and actresses, and he gets to be sarcastic, and he gets to sing the first verse of "We Will Rock You."
Okay.
So he's happy. He's super excited. He's gonna, he's basically just gonna be the annoying little brother he already plays at home.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
so it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. And
Okay.
you know, but of course that comes out my birthday weekend. So now I know what I'm doing for my birthday.
When is that?
May 9th, which
Okay.
is a Friday, and the play is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
So you'll be there all 3 days.
I usually do Sunday is hard. No, Saturday will be hard because they do two of them. And the early one I'll be at work, but I'll probably go to the late one.
So it's four. It's Friday, two on Saturday, and
Oh
Sunday.
yeah. Yeah, they do four
Okay.
plays. So it'll be nice. It's he's super excited. I think his buddy got the Black Knight for one of the casts, so
So
that should be interesting.
so let me ask you this then. So every time your kids are in a play and you go to every show, you know, all 3 days or 4 days or however many shows, that they have, is the audience always the same too? Like since you're going to multiple shows, is are all the
So
kids? families doing that also?
So this happened with most junior theater. There's two casts. So there's like I think they do red and blue cast. So 2 of the days my son's gonna play his role, and the other 2 days he's gonna be in the ensemble. And then same with everybody else. Everyone who gets a part only plays that part unless no one else up, got the other part. But yeah, most of them don't play the same part for all 4 days. So like Friday will probably be like red cast. And then Saturday, they'll do both red and blue cast. And then
Mm,
Sunday will be blue cast.
okay.
That's how they do it. That way more than one person gets to play parts and they can get more people to join. Uh like I said, and if somebody's sick,
Hmm.
they got 2 people, 2 chances. So if you can't make it, instead of having because they don't really do understudies for junior
Hmm.
cast. And then in the high school they don't do that. They have if you get a big role, you probably don't join the ensemble, and if you get a a middle role, you might be like in some of the ensemble. So
So
I'm learning this.
are you practicing lines with your kids, or are they practicing lines with each other, or your wife?
Okay, so Ava likes to practice lines with me because I'm a little bit extra. So I'll do voices.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do. I should have done acting. I really should have. I think I probably would have been good at it.
Hmm.
I'm pretty good at remembering, and I can be dramatic just for fun.
Hmm.
But my problem is I'd probably go overboard. So she likes to practice her lines with me, and I'm always amazed. She is off script so fast.
What
Like
do you mean, in a good way, or?
no, it's I don't know how she does it. She'll have a script for a day and she'll already be, she'll study it and go through it, and then she'll come out to me without the script and know the whole thing already. I'm like, how do you do that?
Okay.
So I know some of it's so crazy because I never knew the process of how all this comes together,
Hmm.
but just from what she explains to me and everything, they start the first couple of days, everyone has the script and they do read throughs,
Hmm.
and then slowly but surely, once you start learning, they start taking everything away, and then you run through the whole thing during tech week, and then yeah, that's the show, man. Then they put it out there, and whatever happens, happens. We might get some improving if somebody forgets a line, or maybe they're feeding lines, but most of the time, like everyone nails it. So it's
Okay.
pretty fun. And
All
then
right.
Aiden is just now taking it a little more seriously
Hmm.
and realizing because I've always told Aiden if he wants to get bigger parts and do better on stage to talk to his sister. But
Hmm.
he's a little brother, so he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't think like, oh, she can help me. But she
Hmm.
could because she's really good at it. And so now he's finally starting to take some help from her because he wants to, especially with this is his biggest role he's ever had. Uh, so he's going to listen to her and get some help, and she'll help him do a lot better, I think. So
Okay.
other than that, uh, that's about it, man. Oh yeah, I told you before, my wife's so she's got 4 art shows to put on. So she has there's one that the superintendent, so for the whole district, puts on.
Hmm.
There's another one just for the elementary schools in our district and all her teachers that do that. And then they want her to do the one for the book fair, and then just her regular in school art show. So yeah, so she said for the next month, like she's putting together all these different art shows and picking all the art from all the students, and so she'll sit here and ask me. She'll show me like 6 pictures and tell me which one do you like better. I'm like, I, I feel bad because I'm like, what if I pick one and then I feel like little Jimmy over here doesn't get his art in because I picked the wrong one.
Right.
I
No, I
said, this
wouldn't.
is your class, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to
That's
do
what
that.
I said. I'm like, come on. So that's all I got, man. Like,
Okay.
just chilling for
And
now.
slow motion over here with me, man. Just same old, man. You know, we had Dan Kuzino's tournament on Saturday, man,
How many did you
and
end up taking?
five.
Okay, yeah, you
R-
said it was gonna be like 4 to 6. So
Yeah, it was we had five, man. It was a rough day.
it was a rough day.
Rough day, man. Rough
All
day.
black belts or a
No,
little bit.
Ryan was the only black belt. Ryan was the only one that competed. He got fourth. Ryan didn't fight all that back, man. You know this. Ryan has to learn how to get his nerves under control because the way that he fights in the school is not the way that he fights at tournaments. You know, he lets the nerves and the jitters get the best of him. You know, Ryan's favorite technique that to throw when he's sparring is back fists.
Hmm.
How many back fists do you think he threw Saturday?
One,
No, zero.
0.
Zero. Ryan has one of the best blitzes in our school. How many times do you think he blitzed?
0.
Exactly, zero. And I had to talk with him like, dude, what are you doing? What's happening? You know, he's like, "Oh, I'm not thinking, I'm not thinking." I was like, yeah, exactly. You're not thinking. We got to get it together. We got to change some things, man. And so he ended up with fourth place. The thing is, man, he got fourth, but he did not fight bad. He won his
Yeah,
first fight, and the second and third fights he lost. But you know, it's just small little things, you know, especially for this is his first year fighting in the black belt division, you know. So of course I'm expecting him to have, you know, it's going to be a learning experience for him. Um, Another thing with his reverse punches, he was getting too close. He was hitting the kids first with reverse punches. They couldn't see it because he got so close when he threw the punch. Like the judges couldn't see the punch. And I told him
yeah,
like, work on that distance. You're too close when you're throwing your punch. You know, you're not getting the call. And I didn't even pay attention if he had his goggles on or not. That he needs to wear his goggles when he fights so he can see better. I didn't
yeah,
even
for
think
sure.
I didn't even think I don't even remember if he had them on or not. Now that as we're talking about it,
Means he probably didn't.
yeah, I really can't remember. I really can't remember.
You
So
know, your uncle gave me the best advice about being nervous because I remember thinking being nervous was a bad thing.
mhm,
And then your uncle said, no, being nervous is good because that means you want it bad enough that it's making you nervous, but you got to break through that and get past it. And for me, it was always, either if I hit the first person first or if I got hit, like it was
mhm.
like, okay, now we're in a fight and the nerves kind of go away.
So with me, it's a little bit different. My nerves would be there like before the division start, like when you got to wait around.
Yes.
That's when my nerves would kick in, or when you're lined up and you're waiting to have your first fight. But when my name got called and I went out there for my first match, the nerves were gone at that point. I wasn't nervous anymore. It's just that waiting part for me which always got my nerves going. I
Yeah, that
never
waiting sucks.
Yeah, but once I got on the mat, I was fine. So um what else? What else? The other kids, like matter of fact, man, four of my five kids got fourth place. Driving me
Dang.
crazy. Fourth place. I had one student, she got third. Uh so but even at third, it was only three people in the division, So yeah, they had a rough day, and I think she was overwhelmed. Like once again, she stepped up in the division. She was in her intermediate. This is the first time she ever competed in intermediate division, and she's
Okay.
8 years old, intermediate first time, and she's one of the shorter people in that division. Always going to be a hard thing to overcome. Um, the other ones, I had one kid, one little 6 year old in the 6 year old division. I don't. She's been. She hasn't been herself lately. She hasn't been training. She hasn't been putting forth enough effort in training, and it showed on Saturday. I had been telling her like in class, like, you got to get it together. Come on, hold your hands up. Let's stop being lazy. And it kind of
Yep.
showed on Saturday. She did not fight like how she fought at all last year. She just didn't do it. And the kids she's fighting. She's already beat these kids numerous times. So I was a little confused as to why she was fighting the way that she was fighting. Um, Another student um, that I had, he kept scoring but falling down. So you fall down, you don't get the point. I'm like, dude, you gotta stand up. You gotta work on that stance. You can't keep falling down.
You know what drives me nuts about that? Because I remember I used to have some of that problem, but it was like I was kicking over somebody else's kick.
Mm,
So to get that kick up over, but
hmm
then tripping on the way down because I had to get my leg up so high.
I don't remember that being a thing. Uh, when I was fighting in the '90s or
No,
early
that's a
2000s.
newer rule. That's a
Yeah, I
newer
was gonna say
rule.
I don't remember that being a thing because we used to sweep people. Ski used to do cartwheel kicks and stuff, and you definitely not landing on your feet doing a cartwheel kick. But he
No,
still would get the point.
I
You
think that's
know,
why they called it. I think that's why they did that
just to
because
stop people
people
from doing
were
that.
well, usually you throw a cartwheel kick against somebody who's you're not
Mm.
really doing that's not doing so great.
Yeah, but you probably shouldn't even been doing. Don't even think to do that on those people anyway. That's an embarrassing technique to hit somebody with.
It
A
is.
cart.
It's embarrassing technique to get hit with.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, we had a rough day Saturday, man. I came home, after that hour drive to Lapeer and back, and I crashed. I even went and got food. I went and got food for me and Melissa, and she was like, "You about to eat now?" Because I just put it in the microwave. I was like, "No, I'll get in a minute," and I went to sleep, and I slept for about 3 hours. I was
Nice.
beat. I was tired, so I didn't even eat. I ate when I woke up. So
Yeah,
that
that'll
food I
take
had
it
bought
out of
for
you,
lunch,
man.
yeah, that food I had bought for lunch ended up being my dinner. And I killed it. So that was it for Saturday. Sunday, we did our normal Sunday. Well, I didn't have Champ yesterday. He had friends over, so he went to hang out with his friends. So I was like, okay, cool. And me and Melissa had stuff to do anyway. So, and I know Braylon does not like going. He does not like going grocery shopping when we go grocery shopping. He doesn't like going to the mall. We had to go to the mall also. So I knew that he wasn't gonna be happy with that anyway. So when he said he had friends over, it was all good. So all right, cool. Hang out with your friends. I'll see you Tuesday. I got to pick him up tomorrow for karate. So I'll
Okay.
see him for a minute after school. Other than that, man, other than that, everything's been cool, man. I've been since we're doing our new show, Superflix, I've been getting more back into, the comics and things like that. And it's bubbling up ideas for me, which is always good, so I can get back to writing. Because sometimes, man, you just have a hard time coming up with ideas and things and jokes and stuff like that. So I'm getting some ideas, man. I'm just gonna have to just start throwing stuff back out. Another thing is I had
Yeah.
to I gotta try and find a way of fixing my website. So I was talking with my daughter about that. I was talking with Kara about that, and because I want my website, um, the website has to be built a certain way in order to host the comics. But I kind of wanted my website for my karate school, Jump Kick Studios. I kind of want that to be my hub for everything that I have going on. So that's the central hub. If you want to go to, the clothing line, just go to jumpkickstudios.com and you can click a link and it'll take you to the clothes. So I want that to be my hub for everything. But the way that my website is currently made, it's not able to host the comics right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do that. There are some other platforms that I can put the comics on. I'm not sure if I want to do that, or if I want to build out a whole nother site. So I'm trying to play with some ideas as to how I want to distribute the comic. I can always just stick to social media for the time being, but I don't know if I want to do that or not. I haven't made up my mind how I want to do it. So I'm playing around with a few ideas, So Uh, on Superflix this last week, we covered Superman 3, right? So this week we're on Superman 4, and that'll be the end of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Um, so far it's been fun, man. It actually has been fun kind of rewatching these movies because I have not watched these movies to the 80s. It's kind of funny that Superman really I never really saw that on reruns that much as a kid. Like I don't remember seeing it, Superman movie come on TBS or
Not me either.
WGN or USA Network
You're right.
and at all. I don't never remember. Not like Star Wars or Back to the Future or a lot of other movies. Even now, man, you can turn on you can turn on you can turn on a particular channel somewhere. There is going to be some superhero movie on right now, whether it's X-Men, one of the
Oh
Spider-Man
yeah.
movies, they are always on somewhere now. If you want to watch a superhero movie, they are on somewhere now. But Superman, I don't remember ever seeing those movies on TV.
Me neither.
Batman, yeah, I've seen Batman on because I know I've been flicking through the channels and stopped, on Batman 1 or 2. Not so much the Val Kilmer Batman movie or George Clooney Batman movie, but the Michael Keaton ones, I've seen them on TV. Not a lot, but every now and then I'll catch them on. But Superman, man, I've never really seen those on TV. Hmm. But I've been seeing some stuff about Secret Wars also. I'm trying to stay away from all of the spoiler stuff, and it's getting kind of hard, man. Especially when you see when you kind of have an idea of what's going on with all the different stars that's going to be in that movie, man. It's kind of hard. You just can't help but to listen to certain things. And I heard that they're trying to combine the Secret War comic book that came out in the 80s and also the Secret War comic book that came out in the mid 2000 the mid teens. So I think it's
Yeah.
2015 or 16. Another Secret Wars came out. And I think they're trying to combine both of those books together to create a new story. So that should be good. It should be interesting. Hopefully they have some type of breadcrumbs leading to that in the Thunderbolts movie that come out, and also the Fantastic Four. But at the same time, man, I just kind of feel like they just kind of it seems weird that they just kind of just left Kang alone and they're just moving on from Kang.
You know, I said the same thing. I'm like, I need they need to finish that whole thing because it's a good story.
Yeah, maybe somehow they'll work him into this Avengers Doomsday. Maybe he'll be in there some form of fashion or some type of variant of him or something.
Well,
Because just to leave it at
before he got canceled, wasn't King supposed to be the new big bad?
yeah,
Not
this movie was supposed to be called Kang Dynasty. This movie here
yeah.
wasn't Doomsday; it was Kang Dynasty.
So they pivoted hard on that,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
get, but they didn't need to. They could have replaced him. It's not
yeah,
like Chadwick Boseman where they had to just switch it over because you can't replace him. Kang has a million different variants.
yeah.
They all, you could find somebody that looks similar
Hmm.
and just that's how you explain it. He's a
Yeah.
variant. Okay, bye.
You know
So
what
easy.
you know what I really wish they would have did? Like when they did the Secret Invasion, the Samuel Jackson show. Did you watch that Secret Invasion?
I
And
did.
did you see how they had Rhodey at the end? It was Don Cheadle. Like Don Cheadle has technically been in the hospital this whole time, ever
Yes.
since the Civil War. It would have been pretty funny if they had brought Terrence Howard back at that point instead of Don. That would have been funny
Okay,
if
but
that was
didn't Terrence Howard do something to piss him off, or
no
he
no
wanted more money or something?
yeah he wanted more
Or
money
was
to come
yeah?
back.
Because I
Yeah,
liked
but
him
at
anyway.
that
But
time,
Don
like he
Cheadle's
did,
just as good. But
yeah, he is. But that was at a time when they didn't know how the Marvel. That he was in the first Iron Man movie. Like he didn't know that
yeah,
this was going to happen. So uh, I kind of see his point. But who knows? All
he
right.
did fine. He went and made all his money with Empire, so he'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, he did. And now he's trying to be a scientist.
What?
You haven't seen the videos, huh?
Oh my god, I'm gonna look it up. Oh
Yeah,
god,
you can look it up. I mean,
that's That's insane.
You
He's
know,
an
but the
interesting
funny thing,
dude. He is an interesting dude.
some of the things he's saying, I guess, make a little sense, but I don't know science well enough to be able to debate him or what he's saying. I don't know if it's true or not. Now, Tyson deGrasse, whatever. I
Neil
don't know.
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, yeah. Now, he was kind of nice to. They had a talk. I think they were both on Joe Rogan together. I believe, and I think he was,
Oh, I want
saying
to see that. I'm looking that up.
like, yeah, he was kind of like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you're not 100% right. So he was kind of nice. He was kind of nice with talking with Terrence Howard. He just didn't just blow him off or anything like that. So one time I saw him before in real life. And
Terrence Howard?
yeah, I saw him at a at a puff party.
Really?
Yeah, I was in DC. I was in DC. Trav had myself and my cousin um at a puff party. Puff Puff. I don't call him Diddy. I just call him Puff. So we was at a party and I was standing by the elevator. And this party was fun, man. It had like four different levels, four different floors, and you had a different DJ on each floor. So each floor there was a different vibe at the party. And I don't remember what floor I was standing on. All of the celebrities were coming through a back entrance, and they would come up through an elevator. So I was standing by the elevator, and one time, the elevator dinged and opened up, and I turned around. He was standing right there and just kind of waved at me. And I said, "Hey,
That's
how you doing?"
crazy.
And it closed, it closed back, and I guess he continued on upstairs. So, but we had
That's
a good
funny.
time. We had a good time that night. But I was pissed at Travis though. I had been
Why?
up. I had been up for 24 hours. Literally this day, 24 hours. Because I had to I worked the day before me and my cousin before we went out there. So I had to be at the gym to open up the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Okay.
I opened up the gym. I worked till about 6 or 7. Um and then I picked my cousin up and then we flew out to DC. Travis picked us up from the airport. Travis left work or something, and he says, "All right." It was like, "Listen, I got to go back to work. Y'all can either go to my apartment and hang out, or you guys can wait for Morgan to get out of class." So at the time, Morgan was going to school at Howard.
Yeah.
So we were like, "All right, we'll wait for Morgan because I guess she got out of class relatively soon." So Trav took us to Howard, left us at Howard with our luggage. We had to take our luggage out of his car. Yes. So we're walking around. I had a backpack and I got, my carry on. And my cousin has the
Yeah.
same thing. We're walking around waiting on Morgan to get out of class. And Morgan comes out. We find her. We hang out with her for a little while. And then later on, Trav comes back and picks us up. But Travis comes back and picks us up about 4 or 5 o'clock. We were there at about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning on Howard. So mind you, I told you I was at the gym at 5 a.m. So
Yep.
now it's 4 or 5. Travis comes back and picks us up. He says, "Okay, now we got to go to the mall because he needed some stuff from the mall." And then we had to pick Aaron up. Aaron was out in Baltimore, so he drove out to Baltimore, picked Aaron up, drove back to Trav's apartment, got changed, and then we headed out to the party. So now it's 11 p.m. We get to the party. We hang out there. So about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm just dead. I'm like, I'm ready to
I
go.
bet.
I'm ready to go back. I was like, dude, I've been up for a day. I've been up for a whole day. It's time to go to sleep. So we
Heck yeah,
eventually
man.
get back to the house about 5 or 6. About 6 o'clock, we end up getting back to the house, and I was just knocked out, man. I was beat. All right, let's talk about Creed, man. What did you think of Creed?
I like this movie so much.
I like it too. And it
It
was
just
different.
gave
I've
you
only seen this
they
one
gave
other
us
time.
the same vibe as the original, man. They're so good about that. Just these first movies, they just give you that original Rocky vibe.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this movie would have been just as good if it had came out in the early 90s, like right after Rocky 5? Like maybe like
I
in
don't,
92 or 93.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. It seems like sometimes you need a break from the story.
Yeah,
and then to bring it back, just like Cobra Kai. Like I don't know how successful Cobra Kai would have been if it had came out in the '90s.
Yeah,
Like
true.
after the next Karate Kid movie. I don't know how well Cobra Kai would have did. Of course, there was no streaming back then, so it would have been on network television and everything. I don't know, man, because sometimes you kind of start thinking stuff is corny. You want to move on. Stuff is old, it's stale. Um, and I think that probably would have happened to Rocky and Creed. Like like back in the day, like in when you had all those Nightmare on Elm Street movies or Friday the 13th movies or Halloween movies. There was so many of them in the 80s and 90s. People kind of
Yep.
they kind of got stale. I think Jason and I at one
Well,
point in time had like 10 or 11 movies.
and they get to the point where you can tell they're running out of ideas. I mean, they literally
Yes.
had Jason in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was dumb. That was extremely dumb.
So
But so
yeah,
I think it was good that this movie Creed came out so many years later. This came out. Did this come out in 2015?
that sounds right.
I think it came out in 2015 or 16. Well, Rocky Balboa came out
2015.
2015. So Rocky Balboa I think came out in 2006. So that's about 9 years later when this
Yeah.
this movie comes out. So
So my question about this always was, why not make the movie about his biological son?
oh,
Why make him a bastard through an affair?
well, I can understand that.
No, I'm
I
just
definitely.
curious. It still works. It makes it more interesting, I guess.
Well, so I'm with you a little bit. I think his other kids should have been included in this movie. They're not in any of the movies, and that doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
at all.
Didn't
Especially
he have
with
a
him
son and a
moving.
daughter?
He had a son and a daughter. Apollo had a son and a daughter. Now, the only reason, think about it, man, like those kids were around in 80 when he had the in part two.
Yeah.
Those kids aren't going to be fighting. They're not going to be boxing in 2015. They would have been too old to have been boxers at that
Okay.
point. You
That
know,
makes sense.
Yeah, so but I always thought those characters should have had some type of relationship with Adonis. We don't see them at all. In the third movie, something happens, and we still don't even see these kids, and that does not even make any sense at all.
Yeah, it was I just always thought that was interesting, like uh to do that. But it did make the story interesting because literally at the beginning of this movie you have this child, he's in a group home or like a almost
Mhm,
like a juvenile facility or
mhm,
something. And
mhm,
it starts off he's fighting with somebody, and then we find out he's, like I said, he's Adonis Creed, but he goes by Adonis Johnson, his mother's name, and he's the product of an affair that Creed had, and so he didn't know who his dad is.
mhm.
And in this group home, Creed's wife shows up. Now that is a lot to just take to deal with,
Yeah.
because the state is basically saying she was keeping tabs on him, so she knew about him, and then she's gonna take him home and raise him.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a good woman because
I don't know
yes,
if that would do that.
no, but you got to look at the every time you look at this kid, you're going to think about that affair. You're going to think about, and so, but she does. She raises him, gives him a better life than he was going to have in and out of group homes or foster homes. So, I mean, like I said, more power to her. That's great.
Mhm,
But she's trying to bring him up away from boxing,
mhm,
and he has his own plans. He's very strong-willed, he's very stubborn, he's very bullheaded. So he's doing what she's living the life she wants for him. Went to school, graduated, got a nice job, probably on the back of his daddy's name a little bit. but on the side,
Probably.
he's going to Mexico, and he's boxing underground,
Mm-hmm.
and he's 15-0 with like 13 knockouts or something like that. Or
And he's not. He didn't have, that doesn't have any training either.
that's the crazy part. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, especially Mexico should probably have some pretty good fighters,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting beat up by some dude who self-taught himself.
Yeah. He doesn't have a corner man. He doesn't have any trainers. He doesn't have anything.
He doesn't have squat. So, you see this fight with him underground, and he is a little raw. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't try to like have him going out there and, beating fools down. But I mean, he didn't look like a bum.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, why do the self-taught thing?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay. Even if he was trained by somebody who wasn't that good, like I
Well,
think he should have had some training.
he attempted to get some help.
Yeah,
You
after
know.
he was 15-0.
Yeah.
But that we'll get to that because that part pissed me off. Um, so they go and show him after the fight. He's in an office, and this is what I'm saying. Like you can tell, he's not into this job. It's not for him, and to the point where he just got a promotion, and he puts in his resignation the next day.
Mm-hmm.
The guy even told him, he's like, after I just promoted you, like, come on, man, you're killing me.
Right.
And he's just like, yeah, man, it's not for me. But he goes home and he doesn't tell his mom right away. He waits a few days to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And she still has this big house. He's driving him a nice little muscle car. He's got
So.
nice clothes. He obviously got probably a really good education.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing pretty good.
So, man, you know what? I think I might have been looking at my phone at the time, but he was sitting at the table and she came up to him and said something to him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought just because I had saw him put in his 2 week notice, and then I saw him at the table. I thought he told his mom that he quit his job.
Now he waited a couple days until
So
he
what
was
he?
going to move out.
Yeah, I remember
He
that
didn't
part
tell her
too.
right away.
Yeah, I
He
was
didn't tell her
confused.
right away.
So what did he say to her? Did he tell her that he got a promotion? Is that what he said to her?
She already knew about the promotion. I think she got him the job.
What the man? I guess I need to go back and watch because I thought he said something to her when he was at that table.
The crazier thing to me
But I
about his
thought what he
relationship
was,
with her,
I thought what he did was told her that he quit the job. Okay, go ahead, man.
um, is I think he might have mentioned something about fighting, or she might
Okay,
have said something to him because she saw his hand.
okay.
Yeah, I'd have to go back too, and I'm not really sure. So, after he has a dinner with his mom, and he's goes downstairs and he's watching old fights of his dad, mostly against Rocky, and he's kind of practicing. And then this is where he goes to the Delphi gym where Apollo Creed, his dad, trained, and he goes in like he's tough shit, and he's like, "Hey, I need y'all to train me,"
Mm-hmm,
and they already know who he is.
mm-hmm.
They don't want to train him, which I guess the mom probably said something. I mean, that's the way they made it out. He's because the
No,
main trainer said, what'd they say?
no. They looked at him as not being
Oh yeah,
hungry and having a silver spoon in his
yeah,
mouth. They didn't
yeah.
look at him as being tough. They thought he was soft. Now, you do realize who the main trainer was, don't you?
No, who's that?
Okay, so he is the son of Apollo's trainer. So Duke.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
Duke's
even catch
son.
that. I
Yeah,
didn't even catch that.
that's Duke's son.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, but he explains to them his real upbringing,
Hmm.
and they don't
Yeah,
even. They
yeah.
still want nothing to do with him.
No,
And he
no.
didn't just say, "I'm not going to train you." He said, "I'm going to make sure to tell everybody else not to train you."
Yeah, I think he was kind of looking after his health because they just thought he was soft and he was going to get hurt in there, and especially being around killers, training killers, to go out there and knock people's heads off.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a guy in the ring working, and he goes and punches him out real quick.
Yeah.
But then the current was he the current champ at the time, or he was
No, I think
the
it was a
number one
contender.
contender?
Yeah, I think it was a
Yeah.
contender.
Comes in and knocks him out. So put him on his ass, which he kind of needed that, but
Yeah,
I mean, he still did show some heart. I mean,
that was a
you
reality
know,
check.
it was, but that guy, he's not even on his level. Give him
No,
a little
yeah,
training.
Adonis.
He could have hung in there with him if he was a little bit of training. Come on.
Yeah, Adonis didn't have any type of training at all. Still to this point, he does not have any training, and he's not getting trained. Nobody wants to touch him. Nobody wants to help him.
Oh, when he first stepped in that ring, he put his car on the line.
Yeah.
What is that? Was that car? Is that a Mustang or a Camaro?
Oh, I don't remember what he
It was a
said.
nice car. It's a
Yeah.
nice car. Nice black muscle car. It's a nice car. But that's I mean that's probably a drop in the bucket with all that money his mom got, but still. He put that on the line. So yeah, when he got knocked out, but I guess
Even
he didn't have it on
himself,
the line with him.
he was a
So
he worked in financial services, so he had a good job. So he had some nice money himself.
oh
You
yeah,
know.
that's true. So he goes home. His mom sees that he's been fighting, and he tells her he quit his job, and then explains to her he's leaving to go fight. And she basically says, "Well, if that's your choice, don't come back. Don't call me. Don't." She basically tells him like, "Later, get out of here,"
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
she's worried. She's worried that fighting's gonna kill him just like it did her husband, which makes sense. I mean, that's a tough scar to take with you and to heal.
Yeah.
So
She has to have a lot of. I mean, I'm kind of curious as to why they hired Felicia Rashad to play Apollo's wife, because I don't think the lady who originally played her was dead at this time. I don't know if she was dead at the time. I get it. Uh,
maybe she
but
was just too old.
maybe. I mean, I think they're around. They should be like around the same age, honestly. But Felicia Rashad is a bigger name, so I get it. I kind of get it. Uh, but for the character, I mean, I guess it's she has to be dealing with a lot of emotions when it comes to this, because he wants to be like his dad. He wants to fight. She knows she was there when Apollo died in the ring. She
Yes,
was there. So on top
yes,
of that, she still has to have some type of, like you said, man, like every time she sees him, she has to have some type of feeling that, the infidelity that Apollo did. So
yes.
him wanting to
It's a
fight
lot,
also, yeah, it's a lot to deal with for her.
but she had to know that was coming. I mean, she had to know that she was gonna have to deal with that eventually,
Maybe
and
not,
that was
because like
like,
we said, like there were two other kids, and obviously they didn't fight.
yeah, but they
So
didn't go through this what this guy went through. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
okay, so this is where I'm gonna start getting into some things because he goes to Philadelphia. Now, this movie is meant to be after the last movie we watched, Rocky Balboa, right?
Yep.
Because he has the restaurant,
Right.
and then Adrian still passed. Now
Hmm.
Paulie's passed,
Hmm.
but when he shows up in Philly for the first time, the statue's there. In Rocky
Hmm.
Balboa, they said the statue was gone.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I assumed they moved the statue from the steps, because in Rocky 3, the statue was on the steps, and 3 and 4 and 5 they were on the
So it's
steps.
not gone; they just moved it.
Yeah, I think they just moved it.
And then Mick's gym was all tore up, and then it's back up now. So do you think that somebody bought it and built it back up?
Well, Rocky, that guy that was running it was Rocky's partner.
Yeah.
I think Rocky might just have a stake in it, because I can't see, because Mick
So
didn't
what I'm
leave it.
saying, in Rocky Balboa, the gym was all a mess. It was
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay. So I'm just saying now it's back and running. So I was just curious about that because I was like, this is still supposed to be after that. So
Yeah, because Rocky said that, when he shows up in the gym, he said he talks to his friend. He said, "I like what you did. You fixed the place up nice. So
okay, all right,
yeah."
that's good.
But I'm
So
assuming,
he,
like, I was thinking, like, Rocky. I know Rocky probably still owns a percentage of this. Well, Rocky didn't even. He actually left the gym to Robert. He left it to the son in the
yep,
will. So but I'm assuming that Rocky still has some type of ties to that place, even though he said he doesn't go there anymore.
Never really had a reason, I guess, until now. Eventually, Adonis shows up at Adrian's restaurant, and he starts talking to Rocky after the place is closed, and he tells him he wants him to train him. He's not into that. He asks him about the third fight between them, and that's when we get our answer that Apollo won that fight.
Yeah, I don't believe it though.
Yeah, me neither. I said the same thing.
Only reason I said that because like he's not gonna say like, yeah, I won, I beat your dad, like because Apollo's not here anymore, so he's
Yeah.
not gonna say anything. Not Rocky. Rocky's definitely not. Rocky is never going to talk bad about somebody. That's just not him. Even if Rocky had really took it to Apollo, he still would have said like he won. He did.
Listen, man, don't give me a chance to have somebody not defend themselves because I'm saying I won everything.
Yeah,
Where's the proof that I didn't? Where's the proof I didn't?
and inspiring the same as competition. Not really, man. Like fighting in the school or the gym is not the same as fighting in the
You don't
ring.
think they beat the crap out of each other in that name?
No. I
They
definitely
looked like
don't
they were
think.
gonna. They looked like they. I mean, they really looked like they were getting ready to
Yeah,
swing.
but Rocky had just got done, fighting Clubber Lang. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he was
True.
in the right condition to be banging around with Apollo. Not
So
full blast.
the next part goes into the two fighters, the heavyweight champ and the contender, and it's what is it? Danny Stuntman Wheeler and Tony Little Luke Evers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, Pretty Ricky Collin. And
Now he's the champ.
Yeah, Pretty Ricky's the champ. From England, right?
Yeah.
And then and the other guy's the one that knocked Adonis out in the last scene.
Right.
Pretty Ricky's facing a gun charge. So he's, this fight with Wheeler could be his last fight in his prime because he's looking at 7 years in jail for the gun charge. And so he's looking for this last big payday, and they do like a whole, montage of the two fighters, like the tail of the tape almost kind of deal.
That was the 24. I think it was man. Is it what's the name of that? It's not 24/7. Is it?
No, 30 for 30.
No. It's oh man, I cannot think. I know it's not a 30 for 30 because they do it for every single Mayweather started it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of what it's called.
Hold on. Go ahead. Keep on going.
So he we get the idea of what's going to happen with that, and then
It is 24/7. It is 24/7.
Okay. Yeah, see, you were right. The real quick because it gets into the next scene. Adonis gets ready to go to sleep because he's gonna, start trying to train on his own, and he meets a new neighbor who's playing some music too loud, and it's Bianca, and she's kind of she don't care that he can't sleep, and he's got to get up early, basically. So he gets up the next day and he does his little run, and on his way he stops by to talk to Rocky again. And this is my favorite part because since him and Rocky, have ties to Apollo Creed, he starts calling Rocky Unc. Basically like uncle.
Yeah.
And I think it's
fitting.
It always made me laugh because it makes sense. I mean, technically, yeah. Like my best friend, Sean, aka Chewy, my kids call him Uncle because like that's my boy.
Yeah.
So it always made me laugh that he's just like, hey yo, Unc, and so he's like Unc, like Uncle. He goes, it was either that or what do you say? It was either that or OG. And Rocky don't know none of this talk. You don't understand.
Yeah.
So he's asking because he went over to Mighty Mix and they're not into really helping out. They're just like, for $20 you can go ahead and do this, do that, and whatever, and we'll let you do that. So he's asking Rocky for some help with some speed, to get some speed. So he wants some drills to work on, and Rocky gives them to him because he's still not looking to train him. But you could tell at this point that Adonis is going to be persistent. He is not going to stop bothering you, and he's not going to leave you alone until eventually he wears you down.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that Apollo Creed would do the kind of the same thing, because he did in 3. He didn't let Rocky just walk away. He told him, like, no, man, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get your belt back. We're gonna get you back on top. You're not gonna, you're gonna get some speed on you and change it up. So it's pretty interesting.
I think Rocky kind of liked giving them that advice also. Like he wasn't all the way in, but he still did not mind, giving them some things. But I think that the situation that happened with Tommy Gunn kind of made Rocky get shy about just taking on a mentor. I mean, a mentee and helping someone else out.
I don't know why I never thought about that, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
That makes
he
a
was
lot
probably
of
guarding
sense.
himself.
Well, and on the other side of that, he lost his wife. His son's away, in what do you say, LA or something like that.
No, Vancouver.
Oh yeah, Vancouver. You're right. His best friend is gone, Paulie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he really needs somebody to latch on to. He just doesn't know it yet.
Mm-hmm.
He can't just have the restaurant and going to visit, his dead wife and best friend.
Yeah, but that's when we saw what he was doing at the end of Rocky Balboa. Like he was putting together his own little family. He had himself. He had Paulie.
Oh yeah,
He
they
had
didn't even
the
bring
host.
them back. Yeah,
They
where
had
are they?
They had the wait the not the waitress, the
I
hostess,
forgot. Yeah,
little Marie, her son. He was building up a little family, and they didn't really talk about them at all in this movie.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
So Rocky was pretty much back to being by himself, and it seemed like he was just kind of waiting to die, honestly.
True.
And
Kinda.
and this is what I was talking about also in Rocky Balboa. Rocky and his son's issues got settled. So his son moving away because of Rocky's big shot. It was like, wait a minute, you guys settled that in the last movie, Rocky Balboa. So why are we going back to that again? And he has to move so far away. He moved all the way to Vancouver to be away from his dad. Like that is almost as far as you can get from Philadelphia.
Yeah, they really don't want a Rocky and his son story. They just don't want it. Now, here's another thing that kind of, and this might just be a me thing. This dude has a very powerful name, Adonis.
Yeah.
Why is he introducing himself as Donnie?
This is just short for
I don't
Donnie. I
care.
mean Adonis.
I
Donnie.
don't care.
You-
I don't care.
I mean, it's just like I mean, not a lot of people call me Eugene. Most people call me Gene. If you are a friend, like I don't have too many friends that call me Eugene. The only people who call me Eugene are people I work with, and maybe some people who I went to
Really?
school with. Yeah, no, not many people call me Eugene. I don't get that too often at all. Most people, if they know me, they just say Gene.
Maybe it's just the Donnie part that bothers like, because I don't like to be called Joey.
Okay.
Like, guys, I never liked that,
But
and
once
I
again,
feel like,
your name is Joseph.
yes, and I don't mind being called Joseph
I didn't even
or
know your
Joe.
name was Joe. I swear, I did not know your
I
name was
believe that.
Joseph until the funeral. I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about your name being Joseph. Not one
Yeah,
time did I ever think about that. I've never
that's
called
funny.
you Joseph in my life.
That's funny.
I've
Oh
never
no,
said
but most people don't.
exactly.
Usually, I get called Joseph. I get the whole full name if
Yeah,
I'm in trouble. and that's only my wife and my mom. And then at work they call me that, but that's because that's just what's on the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
and it's only one lady at my work that calls me Joseph, and I tell her all the time. I was like, "Stop doing that." She's like, "Why?" Because I was like, "Because I think I'm in trouble every time." Because that's how the way she says it.
uh
She's like, "Joseph." I'm like,
huh.
"If you don't stop that," I told her I'm gonna stop answering.
So, but you think Adonis is a pretty cool name? That's what you're getting at, pretty much,
I
right?
do. I think that's a very powerful name.
Yeah.
Don't shorten it to Donnie. That's the nerdy Ninja Turtle, man. Come on. That's all I'm saying.
I
Because he
can just see
didn't.
it now.
He most of the people he was telling his name was Adonis, but when he introduced himself to Bianca, it was Donnie. So maybe he thought it was cuter. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't think if my name was Adonis, I don't think Melissa would want me to be walking around saying that to people, saying giving that name. I think she would think I'm being flirtatious. I think so. I
Oh, okay.
100% believe that. You know.
She's like, she wants you telling people my name is Donnie, not
Yes, yes.
Adonis.
100%,
I
100%.
get it. That makes sense. See, that makes sense to me.
Go ahead, man.
Um, real quick before this next part, he did ask Bianca out. He said it wasn't a date, but and so they learned a little bit more about each other. Even though he doesn't tell her that he's Creed's son, and
No.
that comes up later.
And
Uh,
we see this type of
she
stuff.
did. All he said was he's a boxer, and his dad was a boxer, and his dad is dead. That's all he said.
We seen that a lot in a few different movies where if somebody is really really rich or really really popular, they don't want the average person to know their background because they want you to like them for them and not because of their family or where they come from or money or anything like that. So I kind of understood where he was coming from, and on the flip side, I understood why she was upset when she found out who he really was, but like shouldn't she have realized that like when she found out that he was going to stay with Rocky? Then she should have
Yeah,
put that two and two together or something like that. Maybe.
she wasn't really thinking about it. She just
Yeah.
thought maybe, oh, he's a boxer. He knows some people, but
Yeah, I guess.
so they're learning about each other, and he finds out she's a singer and she's into making music, but she's also losing her hearing,
Yeah.
and so he talks to her about that, and they have a nice little conversation, and then he gets into training, and Rocky shows up at Mighty Mix, and it's a little controversial because like you said, the owner has a son who's got a pretty good record. He's 17-0. He's been asking Rocky to help train his son for a minute. And Rocky, I don't want to say he blows him off on that, but he kind of just says, "Yeah, I'm just coming to say hi and do this and that." And then Adonis walks right up and
Hmm.
is like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And he starts talking about training him, and the other guy was a little pissed off.
Yeah, it was.
And
Yeah,
he
it
was kind of like, okay, okay, like he didn't say nothing. He just backed off,
was. Hmm.
but you could tell like he felt, and I get that, but he eventually figures out why, and he
Yeah.
gets it.
Now,
But his response to that is even different.
did you pay attention because when Adonis is training, when he's training in the gym, if you look behind him in the background, you see that guy watching him, and he's watching Rocky train him, and he's just kind of looking out the side of his eye, paying attention, and you can kind of see the jealousy that Rocky is helping him.
Uh, but I mean, the dude was 17-0 on his own, so I think he was doing okay without Rocky.
Hmm.
But I think he was more hoping Rocky could advance his career more than help his training. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
but Rocky was probably wondering, like, you know what? I don't want any problems. I don't want anybody saying you're about to be Rocky's robot or Rocky's puppet, just like what happened with Tommy
Yeah,
Gunn.
big
And
time.
I think that after getting to know Rocky Balboa, the character, I would think that's what will be going through his mind. He does not want to get anyone's way, especially seeing how his son has said that you have a big shadow. Rocky does
Yeah.
not want to overshadow these other people. So that's why I believe he kind of does not want to have anything to do with boxing.
No, I agree. 100%. Uh, so the next couple scenes, you see Adonis and Bianca getting a little closer, starting a relationship. Rocky and Adonis are the training's going pretty well, and the guy with the son who runs the gym, he kind of approaches them and tells them like, can you come help keep my son warm, work the corner, maybe even set up a fight. And Rocky's not so keen on that idea
Hmm.
because he starts talking about setting up a fight for Adonis, but Adonis and his son are in the same weight division. So he sees what's kind of going on. I think to a certain extent, he kind of wants to put Rocky and Adonis in their place
Mm-hmm.
and assert, how his son he should be training his son, not Adonis,
Right.
especially when he learns who Adonis is. So now he wants to kind of make his name, make his bones off of Creed, off of Adonis. But Rocky tells him, like, we don't want everyone to know who he is. So, keep it on the down low.
But he doesn't say anything about that until they are literally about to go out and have their fight.
But he knew already.
Right.
He knew. And he didn't say anything, but the fight, he was trying to set up the fight for
I don't
his
think he
own.
knew. I don't think he knew until the last minute
Oh,
because
okay, really?
I think if he would have known, this guy is about money and business. If he would have known that this was Apollo's
Oh, yeah,
kid,
he would have set up a bigger purse.
and I think he said that, that this would have been even bigger if he would have known beforehand. So I don't think he knew until later on. So and at that time when he finally found out, it was pretty much too late. But do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think that Rocky would have even trained Adonis if he wasn't Apollo's kid?
I don't,
I don't
I
think he
think he
would have.
might have came. You don't think so? Because I think he would have come around. I think he needs to be around boxing, and if with somebody asking him that, it started making him think. Just like in Rocky Balboa, he's like he had a beast. I think he
Mhm.
needs to be around it.
I
He
don't
just
know,
doesn't
man.
know it all the time.
Because I'm quite sure that other people have asked Rocky to
True.
train them, and obviously he wasn't doing anything. Like you said, he doesn't go around mixed gym anymore. And this guy is he's just not some regular guy. Like, he was close friends with Rocky. He said that they went to high school together, and obviously
Yep.
there's some type of connection if Rocky is letting him run the gym, mixed gym. So this guy obviously is somewhat close to Rocky, and Rocky still didn't show up to help him train his son.
Yeah, you're
So if
right.
this was not Apollo's son, I don't really think Rocky would have helped Adonis.
So when they do decide to take the fight, Adonis says, "Okay, so when am I moving in?" He wants to start fight camp, but he wants to go move in with with Rocky.
Adonis is really looking for family, man. That's what it seems like. He's really looking for family and trying to be close. It seems like this is his way of being close to his dad.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because he had
definitely.
his
I
own
mean,
place. Why you have your own place? Why move in with Rocky when you have your own place?
I think he wants to show how serious he is, and like you said, I think he just likes being around Rocky. He can learn more
Hmm.
about his dad. He can train. He can fight. But the funny thing is, he shows up to move, and Bianca looks at him like, "Why are you here with Rocky Balboa?" And he introduces him. He doesn't even introduce him as Rocky. He said, "Oh, this is my uncle."
Yeah, it seemed like he was trying to move, like, kind of without even her knowing, because she looks out the window and sees him moving.
Yeah.
She didn't. He didn't knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm about to leave, or I'm about to move," or he didn't give her any warning. He's just moving.
So he takes Adonis over to another gym because he's like, "I don't. If you're going to be fighting this guy, you can't be training right next to him, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he hooks him up with the whole team. He gets him a pads guy. He gets him a cut man. He gets him a trainer. So, and then he's got a couple of kids who are, you know, up and coming, hungry to box with and train with. So he's got to start working on everything. Also, the other thing I forgot to mention was one of the first things he had him doing in the other gym was chasing the chickens for the speed.
Yeah.
So he brought it. He brought that back.
Yeah. I was surprised he didn't give him any raw eggs to eat.
Or I was thinking that, or have him meat.
Yeah.
Have him
Yeah.
in the meat
Exactly.
cooler.
Yeah. Well, I
They
guess they
could have
don't have
brought
the
it all
hookup.
back.
They don't have the hookup with the meat locker anymore since Paulie's gone. So maybe that's because
Yeah, that's true.
it always seemed like Paulie was sneaking Rocky in to do that.
What do you think this movie would have been like with Paulie in it? Because it would have been interesting. You know, Paulie and Adonis wouldn't have got along.
No, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have at
It would
first.
have been hilarious.
Yeah.
No, they would have been fine eventually.
Yeah.
But it would have been some static, and it would have been funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have.
It would have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because you know, Adonis would probably be like, "Who this crazy white guy
Yeah.
hang out with? This crazy
Yeah.
drunk."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So training camp is starting off a little rough. Adonis is not really receptive to everything. He was hoping Rocky would be doing more of the training, but Rocky's, you know, he's taking the approach of let these people do their job, and I'm going to give you, you know, my perspective. I'm going to give you my point. Which, I mean, he's basically his manager at this point. He might as well be.
Well, Rocky also said that I can't hold the pads like that. I can't do that. Yeah, you know, he's way older now, so he can't, you know, he can't do that type of stuff. So,
but once he does, you know, take it all in and realize this is the way it has to be, like he does start getting better, doing better. You know, he gets some gloves made for him and everything, and he gets to the point where the other thing I was going to mention, I kept waiting for the trumpets. You know, we kept waiting for the trumpets, and I thought, okay, that now they did have music that was its own like inspirational, you know, music, but no trumpets, no you know, no. So, but they did give it to us. They just waited a long time, and I remember because I kind of forgot. I kept thinking like, oh yeah, they didn't do that.
It was almost like a remix of that song.
They freshened it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it's the day of the fight, and he's all ready. He's got the rules. He's gloved up, and all of a sudden, apparently, he has the nervous bowels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I know that's a thing, but I don't know. I don't get that. I guess I don't think I've ever experienced that. Now that I think about it,
no, I
don't think I'd want to experience that.
I've never experienced it, but two of our teammates, I'm not going to say on here, but two of our teammates used to do that and run to the bathroom before they competed. I'll tell you after.
I know it's a thing. Like
I've never had it.
I'm glad I haven't experienced it, but I feel bad because that's especially this. He had his gloves on.
I don't think our teammates did it because they were nervous. I think they just did it just to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather get it out before I have to go fight. That's for doggone sure.
Yeah.
So we get to the fight, and you know, the first couple of rounds aren't going Adonis's way, and then Rocky notices a couple things, and he actually tells Adonis to use a move that Apollo used on him. So to drop the hand over and come over and under when I guess there was a hitch from the fighter. I forget his name. Anyhow, Leo. So Rocky noticed it, and then Adonis listened and won the fight in the third round. And you know, kind of made a name for himself. The cat's out of the bag. Adonis Creed, and we go into like what was that? Around the Horn?
PTI, Partner in Rush.
Oh yeah, PTI.
Yeah.
I was thinking Around the Horn was after PTI.
Yeah.
I missed that show. I haven't watched that show in a while.
No, I haven't either.
I know, but I always enjoyed that show. They do like their own little Adonis Creed. They talk about Apollo Creed.
Somebody, man,
And
you know what? I hate to interrupt you like that, man, but
no,
we
you're
need a
fine.
show. We need a show like that on the Martial Arts in the Network. Travis, you need to put something like that together. A PTI
I
style.
agree. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Like
Who would it be? Would we have to get somebody new? The two people that's not part of the main gang already, or would it be with existing members? I don't know. It'll
that's for
be
your brother to
interesting.
figure out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Travis to figure out. He's good at
But
that
I
stuff.
mean, but I think that would be cool. Somebody that two people that can go over PTI like that, like
Heck yeah,
main
that'd be
gang
great.
style. All right, go ahead, man.
No, that would be fun. So they're talking about, Adonis. They're talking about Apollo Creed's legacy and whether or not the affair hurts his legacy. Da da da. Da. And then that sparks interest because
That's a dumb.
Colin.
That was a dumb discussion too.
I know, but you know what?
Yeah,
That show has to find something, so
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
they do. Um, Colin and the other guy was supposed to fight, and he punched him and broke his jaw before the fight. So his big payday went away. So he's looking for a new one. And the manager's idea, is to fight Adonis Creed to get that name out there and get the payday from that.
Hmm.
And they didn't make this an exhibition fight. This was supposed to be a championship fight. So I mean, and the idea was they're going to take his amateur or whatever underground fights and call them, professional fights. And so, you don't just have some 1-0 bum showing up for the championship.
Hmm.
So he's going to be 16-0 versus 17-0. And the only stipulation they had was he has to go by Creed. He can't go by Johnson,
Hmm.
which that's where the money's at.
Hmm.
Now, of course, Rocky he wants to shut this down. He doesn't think it's a good idea, but he talks it out with Adonis, and
That's
Adonis
crazy because
talks it out with Bianca.
he's getting a championship fight after only having one professional fight.
Yep.
That's not even what Rocky got a championship fight also, but Rocky had been boxing for a while. It wasn't like the underground fights in Mexico. Like people were like Rocky had been around for a while. And at the time when Rocky 1 starts, Rocky was almost a has-been because he was an
Yep.
older guy. He was an older fighter. So he had already been around and and had a record. That's not the
But
case with Adonis.
more so than that, Adonis hasn't even technically been training
No.
with
So
people for more than a couple of months.
right. So that's what got me wondering how long what was the time period going on in this movie? Because it wasn't like, oh, this happened over it wasn't like Karate Kid 1 where it went from it was only like 2 or 3 months to Karate Kid.
Yep.
Because he has two fights. This almost seems like this had to have been like a year or year and a half for all of this to have taken place. That's what it kind of seemed like based on, this right here.
Yeah. So I mean, of course it's crazy, but I mean that's these Rocky stories are always a little crazy.
Hmm.
It's always the odds are stacked against you, and you
Hmm.
gotta dig deep. So during the training, getting ready for this, Rocky is having some trouble standing up. He passes out. He has to go to the hospital, get checked out, and they Adonis leaves and he goes and they have everything's okay. He hasn't really been back to the doctor for a couple days, and then come to find out, he gets the call from the doctor, and he finds out he has cancer, and he doesn't want to do anything about it. He
Hmm.
saw his wife go through cancer, everything that she had to go through, chemotherapy, and she died. So he's thinking in his head, which I get, he doesn't feel like he's got to go through all that only to end up just like his wife.
I, yeah, I I was also thinking like he was
I
ready
didn't
to
say I
die.
agree with it. I'm just saying I understand it.
No, no, no. But to me, also, it seemed like he was ready to die. Like he's lost everything.
Yeah.
Like except for his son. Like he doesn't have Paulie anymore. He doesn't have Mick, Apollo, Adrian. Like everybody's gone now. So it just seemed like he was just ready to go.
Yep. Uh, somehow Donnie finds some of the paperwork about the treatment and the cancer, and he confronts Rocky about it. And Rocky tells him his decision, and Adonis, of course, doesn't agree with it. He's pretty pissed off, and so they have a bit of an argument. Rocky says, out of a little bit of being scared, out of a little bit of being angry, he basically says, "Listen, man, we're just business partners or whatever. We're just doing this thing. We're not family." And he
Hmm.
even was upset that he said that afterwards. And it
Hmm.
kind of sends Adonis in a little of a tailspin to the point where he goes to the club to go see his girl perform, and he ends up getting into it with the headliner.
Yeah.
But not that it's an excuse, but he probably should have told her, you know what, babe, like my head's not right now. I might need to go home.
Yeah, but that the headliner, excuse me, the headliner
Was
was goading him also. Kept on calling him Baby Creed and all of that, man. And
But he acted like he meant it like in a endearing way.
that's what he said, man. But that guy, because
No, I agree.
he was kind of making it seem like something had gone on between him and Bianca in the past.
Yeah.
So he was trying to
So
get under his skin a little bit.
well, he got punched out for
Yeah.
it. So he ends up in the jail for a minute. Him and Rocky kind of talk things out a little bit, but not quite. Adonis, he goes and tries to explain to Bianca what happened, but at this point, she's like, we both got our own things to deal with. So they kind of go their separate ways for a minute. And then Adonis has a real talk with Rocky about, you know, I'm not going to fight if you're not going to fight,
Hmm.
which I thought that was a good way to explain it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Hmm.
want me to go out here and have the fight of my life against this champion, and you're going to help me with that, but you're not going to fight for yourself. So he told him straight up, he's like, if you're not going to fight, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to train. I'm not going to do nothing. So Rocky wants good things for Adonis. So that was a pretty good way to get him to actually start the treatment.
Hmm.
And he does. And the funny thing is, they're they're not only doing the treatment and everything together, but during the treatment, Rocky starts training him in the
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of because I mean he's running up and down stairs and he's got doctors and nurses and
Hmm.
residents walking by him
Hmm.
like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He's shadow boxing while a nurse is like
Yeah.
dodging and weaving.
She's like, they're gonna be like, well, this is Rocky and this is Apollo's kid. We're gonna give
Right?
we're gonna let these celebrities do what they do.
I thought it was pretty funny. And then Rocky's even kind of goating him a little bit because he's doing the two-handed push-ups, and Rocky's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but in my day, we used to do that with one hand.
Right.
That had me cracking up a little bit because that was funny. So yeah, so we got our little training montage, Rocky and him working out in the hospital. We get Adonis running down the street and he's attracting motorcycles and four-wheelers and a whole group of kids and he's running to the gym.
Rocky talked about those kids at the very, very beginning, but I didn't when he first met Adonis, but I didn't really pay attention to who those kids were. I just remember him saying that they used to just ride up and down the street on their
Yeah,
bikes.
yeah, I didn't pay attention, not one bit.
Okay.
Um we get to the day before the fight and we got a little press conference and Rocky tries to warn Adonis what's going to happen in this press conference. He's like, the fight starts now. This is the mental part. This is where he's going to come out. He's trying to goat you and all this stuff. And I'm going to tell you, Donnie started to handle it real well, but then this guy starts talking when it's his turn to
Yeah.
talk, and he starts talking over him, and
Right.
so they
He
kind
was
of
getting
go at each
interrupted.
other and everything. Well, he was getting interrupted, but the guy was also talking some major crap
Right.
and it was kind of stuff like, you know, it's the only reason they wanted to do the fight. So I know
Mhm.
what they was trying to do, but the stuff he was saying was a little off because you made him say he was Creed. He would have fought you as Adonis Johnson if he could.
Right. Right.
But you needed the Creed
Right.
to get the money.
Right.
So it's kind of like you trying to bite the hand that's about to feed you. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the other big thing that happens here, the right before the fight, uh, now did Rocky give him this or did the mom send the
The
new
mom.
shorts?
The
That's
mom.
what I thought. His mom sent the shorts, and there were Apollo's old shorts with
Now,
the red, white, and blue. I mean, they had Creed on the front and Johnson on the back.
I don't know if these were the actual ones that were Apollo's or if she just had some made like the ones Apollo. Because remember, Apollo gave his shorts to Rocky, and
Oh yeah,
Rocky had them, and Rocky wore
so
them
she
in,
probably got him made.
in four, right? And then
She
Tommy
probably got him made.
had them in Rocky 5. I think she might have just had some made that were similar, like the colors.
Well, and that was good for Adonis because him and his mom were kind of on the outs.
Yeah,
So I think that was almost like her
that was
an
the first
olive
time we.
branch.
Yeah, that was the first time we've seen her in a while.
Yeah, that was like an olive branch,
Hmm.
to come back. And she shows up in the second movie for sure. I don't
Yeah,
know if she shows up in the third.
she does.
Okay, so she's in all three movies. So,
Hmm.
she's still gonna be a part of his life. And we get the fight, and of course, just like most Rocky fights, it's not going very good in the first couple of rounds.
Which makes sense. And they shouldn't. This
No,
shouldn't. Like this is his first real. Well, oh, I should say his second professional fight.
well, he takes a pretty nasty hit right off the bat and cuts his eye on the top. And this
Hmm.
is where, because Rocky told him, this is the best cut man, and cut man was doing a good job because he could have easily been knocked out of that fight pretty quick over that cut.
That was Stitch. That was Stitch from the
Yeah.
UFC. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that. I mean,
yeah,
and they called him Stitch.
yeah. That's him from the UFC. Yeah.
The last big UFC fight I've watched was a minute ago.
Oh,
I mean,
he's
I
been
watched a couple of.
around since he's been around for 20 something years since Chuck Liddell was fighting. He's been there for a long time.
Good old Stitch. So, I think it was the third or the fourth round. Finally, Adonis gets a nice clean hit, and he's like, he tells Rocky, "Yeah, now we're in a fight. He can bleed too." Da 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 da. Da. And then they start exchanging back and forth each round. Collins getting the best of him, but
Yeah, he is.
Adonis is holding his own, and eventually starts coming back a little bit and hitting to the body and doing everything that he's supposed to be doing.
What did you think about a- any of these fight scenes, man? And even coming to the ring, they did that. It made us feel like we were in the movie, like we were
Yeah, that's
characters
that's
in
what
the
I liked
movie.
about this movie because they this is the first time I've seen a boxing movie shot this way.
Yeah, like even
And
when he was in the back warming up, and then he
yes,
leaves and go. It's like we were part of his entourage,
yeah,
and it's
it's
like
it's
because we were
point of
behind.
it's point of view.
Yeah, because
I
we're
like that.
behind
I like it
Rocky,
when
and
they do that.
it made me wonder. It was this one continuous shot. It seemed like it. It seemed like I didn't see any edits. If it did, it was real clean because I didn't notice it. But it seemed like it was one shot from when the time
You
when
can
he was
probably
shot
look
about
it
to
up.
get ready and walking all the way through the back arena and walking out. It seemed like it was just one shot, and I liked it. And even in the fights, they would change, like they would put us in the ring, and they
Yep.
did this. And they did this in the first fight he had also with Leo. It made it
Yep.
seem like they put us in the ring, and it seemed like we were on the side of whoever was winning. That's what it kind of seemed like at the time. This version was a little bit different, but it kept switching stuff up, and I don't know if it was because I was having my medicine that I was like,
No,
what's going
no,
on with this? Because
no.
it
You
seemed
were
like
seeing it right.
it got a little bit darker at one point in time, and it just looked like they were experimenting with different lenses because it looked really really different and it looked cool. Like, I never experienced
No,
a fight like that
I
before.
I liked it a lot. I really did. It was
Yeah,
almost like playing a video game.
it did. Yeah, it did kind of feel that way. Yeah,
Uh, at this point, like I said, they were going back and forth, and then Pretty Ricky gets a nice big shot in, and he knocks him down. And you think, okay, this is it, it's over. And Adonis is kind of going through some stuff in his head, and eventually he like snaps out of it and then gets
yeah,
up.
yeah. Like he got shocked.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. And one of the commentators said he stood up like a man possessed
Yeah,
because he did. It was like
yeah.
he was like a zombie. He was like risen from the dead.
You know what?
So
In this movie and in Rocky Balboa, the commentators, man, it sounded like the commentate the commentating that you would hear in a video game. It didn't seem organic to me. It didn't seem
no,
like it seemed very scripted. And I know, of
I
course,
think
we're watching the movie,
it's
but
hard to do. I think it's hard to do that. It's almost like they should have them watch a real fight and just go that way.
well, these commentators were real real commentators. This was
I
Jim
know.
Lampley and I forgot the other guy's name. And even I mean they were in the other movie also, and I was just like this. The writing, like it just seemed it seemed too scripted.
Yes.
It's I hear this type of stuff when I used to play my WWE
They should
games.
have let
When I
them.
used to
They should
hear
have let him watch it. They should let him watch it and pretend like it was real.
yeah, yeah. I mean the little one liners and stuff. It just seemed very video gamey to me. But go ahead, continue.
So they're exchanging blows, and then he gets a pretty nasty cut over his other eye, to the point where like they're doing their best to take care of it, but when the doctor comes over and giving them the
Mhm.
4 and the 3, come on, you think they don't do that little tap on the shoulder to tell them?
You know what, man? It was funny you say that, man, because I was wondering if I think they probably do that for real.
I
You
believe
know?
they do.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah,
Oh, fighters are crazy. Of
yeah.
course they don't want to leave. You're not
No,
leaving that fight.
no.
You just been in a war. It's not ending because your eyes all jacked up.
Yeah,
You're gonna worry about that later. Doctors take care of that. So yeah, they're just going back and forth. They're busting each other up. It's all going crazy. They make it to the 12th round, and the 12th round, they finally, here comes the trumpets.
yes.
Da, 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 da. I was like, you sons of bitches, you got me. I thought, oh, no trumpets this time. We're not gonna get, and they saved it for the end,
Yeah, they
that
did.
12th and final round, and something good's gonna happen because we get the trumpets, and it's about to go down, and Adonis knocks him down. Doesn't knock him out, knocks him down. You can't get saved by the bell. He gets up, but no one's ever knocked him down. No one's ever gone, the distance. So even though Adonis was pretty jacked up, and then Ricky tells him at the end, he's like, you're the future of this division. It's up to you now. And he has his Rocky moment. His family comes in the ring,
Yeah, he did.
everybody, and everything goes the way it should have gone. And then they go up the stairs. They talk about what they've been through together and the fight that they've had in the ring, outside of the ring, Rocky and him, and they go up the stairs. They're not running up the stairs
No.
because they're both pretty jacked up at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rocky wanted to take a break, and Adonis kept pushing him, like, no, you're gonna finish. You break when you get up all the way up to the top.
And that's our movie until the second movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember when this was going to come out, and at first I said, okay, they're going to give us a Creed movie, and it has Rocky in it. I'm here for that. I like Michael B. Jordan, and then I said, I just hope they don't mess it up, and they didn't. I think keeping it close to the Rocky, the way we're supposed to see a good Rocky movie. And this is definitely an A for me. Angel's gonna give it an A+ or whatever. So
you do, yeah, you do, and me too. I'm giving it an A also. It was really really good, man. And actually, I appreciated it more this time watching it than I did the first time. The first time I saw it, I thought it was good, but now that we're doing this podcast and we're looking at movies a little bit differently, like I did. This honestly felt like I was watching this movie for the first time. Yeah, I saw it when it first came out. Yeah, man, because I talked to Travis about this before, man.
I've seen this a couple times. So
when we were kids, I used to do that. I used to watch movies over and over and over and over. And I still do now, like old movies. But I don't watch new movies the way that I used to watch old movies. So now I'll see a movie, I'll watch it, I'll enjoy it, and I probably won't even watch it again. I've only seen Endgame one time, and I'm a big superhero guy. I love superhero movies. Endgame and Infinity War. I've only seen those movies one time.
really?
I don't know why I'm like that now. I don't know. So this movie, of course I've seen it before, but I didn't remember every single thing that happened. I didn't remember that he lost at the end of the movie. I didn't remember that.
I couldn't remember, but then I was kind of like, I think they tried to keep it as authentic to the original Rocky.
Yeah.
With all three movies, I think they kind of did the same thing with the second and third.
Yeah. So. All right, so that is it for Creed 1. Next week we're going to review Creed 2, and on Superflix, Joe and I will be reviewing Superman 4. Hopefully that is going to not kill me and bore me to death, but we'll see. Like I said, I have another movie I haven't seen since the 80s. I've only seen that one one time.
I'll be watching that tomorrow.
Yeah,
me watching
too.
it tomorrow, probably after breakfast.
Make sure you guys check out Superflix. It's on YouTube and also on all of the podcasting distribution out there, Apple, iHeart, all of that good stuff. All right, Joe. Any closing remarks?
Oh man, I'm good.
All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you next week, and I will play our music.
Disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.